to the channel. We got week 18 Dom picks. Before I get into those predictions, I want to quickly thank all of y'all. Without your support and without the guidance of my Lord and Savior, we would not be here at this point with the channel. A great 2025, and here's to an even greater 2026. Let's jump right into the Saturday slate first. We got a monster NFC South showdown between the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Looking at the scenarios, if Carolina wins, they automatically win the NFC South. If they lose, they still have a chance of winning the division if the Atlanta Falcons win their game on Sunday against the New Orleans Saints. On the other side, for Tampa, not only do they have to win this game, but they need the Falcons to lose as well. This game is going to come down to whether or not we can see the best version of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And to be quite honest with you guys, I'm not confident that we will. So I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers. In Tampa, there's just too many problems on both sides of the ball. Although Carolina is a young squad, they've already taken advantage of those weaknesses from the Buccaneers roster. I believe that will continue here on the road. Next up, we got the main event of Saturday night between the Seahawks and the 49ers. If Seattle wins, not only do we win the NFC West division, but we get that number one seed with home field advantage throughout. If the Niners win, they win the NFC West and they get the number one seed as well. I'll start off by saying, let me apologize to the Niners and their fan base, because coming into the year, I thought this team was going to underperform. Credit to Brock Purdy. He's playing excellent football right now. And as one of his main critics, I have to give him some love, because coming back from that foot injury, he's shown up and shown out, and he's helped position this team with a chance to get that number one seed. And turning over to Seattle, I was surprised by how good they've been this year. I expected our defense to be at bare minimum a top 5, but they have their argument for being in the top 3. And I'll give some credit to Sam Darnold. I wasn't a big fan of the signing. I did agree it was time to move on from Geno, but Sam has definitely continued to give us competent quarterback play, and we're going to need that from him in this one, as if he can deliver, this team with home field advantage throughout and on the NFC side of the bracket is going to be a problem, and we can have a chance of reaching the Super Bowl once again. I'd be lying to you if I wasn't a little scared about the Seattle Seahawks fumbling this opportunity on the road here. Going into the Bay is going to be a tough game, because the Niners have been undermanned throughout the course of the season, but that has not slowed them down. Although I don't want to do this, I had to be logical. I can't just think with my emotions. I'm taking the San Francisco 49ers, and it's because Sam Darnold has me concerned coming into this game. He's been turnover prone. If he continues to have problems holding on to the ball, or our offense is high and low where we can't move the ball for spurts of games, it's going to be difficult to win this game in a hostile divisional matchup. Moving over to the Sunday slate, we got the Colts and the Texans first. I'm taking Houston. This is an important game for them, as if the Jaguars slip up just a little bit, they could move up and win the AFC South. I don't see that happening. I'll get into that later. But when that Texas defense going up against Riley Leonard and the Indianapolis Colts, I believe there's a chance for them to eat and get more momentum headed into the postseason. Saints and Falcons, I'm rolling with Atlanta. Raheem Morris has this team rolling right now. Bijan has been incredible doing the winning streak. And Kirk Chainz, low-key showing he could still be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. I believe they will end the year on a high note, going up against a New Orleans Saints team that's dealing with some injuries on the offensive side of the ball. Next up, we got the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. I'm rolling with Minnesota. Green Bay is resting all of their key players and starters. I believe for Minnesota, they are going at this full throttle, and they're looking at this from a long-term perspective. If they win this game, and depending on how they win the game, with J.J. McCarthy potentially coming back, it is going to be instrumental in them having momentum going into next year. Titans and Jaguars, I'm taking Jacksonville. I don't see Jacksonville falling short. They've been playing excellent football down the stretch, and I believe that will continue against a young Tennessee team that really isn't playing for anything outside of pride, whereas on the other side, the Jaguars are playing for an outside chance, again, that number one seed on the AFC side of the bracket. Next, we got the Cowboys and the Giants. I'm rolling with Dallas. Browns and Bengals, I'm taking Cincinnati. The most important thing that I'm watching for in this game, however, is making sure that Myles Garrett breaks the sack record. All he needs is just one. Hopefully he could get that against this Bengals offensive line. I believe he should. Dolphins and Patriots, I'm rolling with New England. They have a chance at getting that number 1 seed as well. It's going to be tough, as I'll get into it a little bit later. But if the Denver Broncos were to slip, as long as the New England Patriots win this game, they will slide right up to that number 1 seed. Next up, we got the Chargers and the Broncos. I'm taking Denver. As we all know, LA is resting their starters, which is probably the right move, especially with Jay Herbo. Our offensive line is not playing well right now, and Denver is a prolific defense with excellent pass rushers. They lead the league in sacks as a team, and as long as Denver wins this game, they clinch the number 1 seed. I believe they will handle business early and make sure they have a chance to rest their starters as well. Detroit and Chicago. This game was pretty tough to predict because Chicago is playing for the 2nd seed. I'm not sure where Chicago wants to be at because it's going to be a tough game regardless of whether or not you play the Packers, a divisional rival, or you go up against a Rams squad that, although is having its struggles down the stretch, still are a Super Bowl contender. Then on the Detroit side, they're playing for pride, although their season is over. We'll see whether or not St. Brown plays, anyone who's already on the injury report. I have a feeling that they will go, and they're going to look to play spoiler. I'm still going to pick the Bears to win, however, because Detroit's just so banged up, especially on the offensive line. And with the way Chicago is playing right now, this feels like a winnable game at home where they can handle business and dictate the future for their postseason run. Chiefs and Raiders, I'm taking KC. If this is Travis Kelce's last game, hopefully he goes out on a high note. The New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills, I'm taking Buffalo. I am concerned about Josh Allen. I still believe this Bills team can win, especially at home. And looking at the other side, the Jets seem like they've already packed up the year. They are not showing enough effort, as was the case last week at home against the New England Patriots. I believe that sentiment will continue. Hopefully not, because I'm rooting for Aaron Glenn, but this young squad just does not have the vibes to upset the Buffalo Bills. Cardinals and Rams, I'm taking LA for what is a necessary get-right game going into the postseason. It appears that all the starters will be available for this game. Hopefully, we handle business early and give our players a chance to rest. Next up, we got the Commanders and the Eagles. I was tempted to pick the Commanders because Philly is more than likely resting all their starters. Plus, if you remember, there was a little altercation about the Eagles trying to run up the score against Washington on the road. It's going to be a close game, but I'm still going to take Philadelphia. With all due respect to Josh Johnson, he's not a starting caliber quarterback, and I believe it's going to be difficult to win with him at the helm. Plus, you have injuries across the board, offensively, defensively. That's going to make it difficult, as the Eagles are still playing for something, trying to get potentially that 2nd seed. And to wrap up Dom picks, we got Sunday Night Football, Baltimore Ravens, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's start off on the Pittsburgh side. Offensively, they looked horrendous last week. Being without DK Metcalf, it showed how limited they were in the passing game and how they are not quite able to run the football consistently. Now you're going to be without Washington, the big tight end, for the rest of the year, and someone's going to have to step up. Perhaps that might be Adam Thielen, maybe MVS. We saw late in that game, Aaron Rodgers was trying to feed him, and they did connect on a couple of throws. Either way, they need to figure out how to get this offense going, because if they don't, they're going home. Getting TJ Watt back is going to be massive, but the pass rush really hasn't been a problem all year long. It's really been whether or not the secondary is holding up in coverage. Baltimore doesn't really have receivers who scare you, so it's going to come down to whether or not they can slow down the king. And that leads me into the Baltimore Ravens. Derrick Henry has to continue to be the focus offensively. We saw last week what happens when you feed him. We do have to give some flowers to that defense. They made some plays, getting some interceptions, giving that offense some shorter fields to work with. If they can replicate that into this game, that definitely will put them over the top here on the road. The key factor I'm looking at throughout the course of this game is Lamar Jackson. Is he healthy enough to avoid compromising the success of this offensive unit. Before I started recording, there was a tweet from, I believe, Adam Schefter, maybe Ian Rappaport, saying that he had a full week of full goals in practice. This was like the first time in over a month or two. That gives me some hope, but we have to see it translate on the field, and hopefully we can get the true version of the two-time MVP. My Dom pick for the final regular season game of the year, I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is finally healthy. I believe we will see him utilize his legs much more. Derrick Henry, after his performance in Week 17, I think it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle. And for the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is a tough position to be in, being without your number one wide receiver, but at least you got TJ Watt. That Steelers defense is going to make this game close, but because of that lack of firepower, as I mentioned on the offensive side, I find it difficult to believe that the Steelers can win this game despite having the home field advantage. That's going to wrap up the video. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below your Week 18 predictions. 2026 is going to be a phenomenal year for the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one.